Alright, so welcome to Community Challenge Week 5 of 2024. We got qeast here. Blue Trunks, Greeks player. It's the top side of the map. At the lower side of the map, we've got MAGMAM. The red trunks on Egyptians. Bit of an interesting start here for MAGMAM, going straight for the stone before he even starts gathering from the berries. Well, it looks like he's going to go for the hunt here. There we go, he's going to want to use the scout to take these guys down. It stops them scattering, and it's really handy for efficient gathering. So that's a really nice setup. qeast is already a little bit faster on this, and didn't go for any early stone. So I guess MAGMAM's just setting himself up to go for a really quick town center here. It's just an unorthodox way of doing this because it leaves him so shy of wood that he's got to gather a bit of wood distance or gather it from around the hunt storehouse and then actually get on his wood line. So it might not actually be that inefficient because he's doing this to get a really quick hunting dogs as early as possible. So that'll help offset the amount of walk time he's going to lose resources for with his wood gathering. qeast, on the other hand, fairly conventional. Just going straight for the hunt, getting hunting dogs, getting the wood storehouse straight away, going for the stone at about, probably 8 to 10 villages. So, be interesting to see how this actually works out for MAGMAM here, because he's really close to having the stone he already needs for his second age town center. Like, neither player has actually scouted each other out, they've just gone for this expecting the other to play this passively. Neither player is actually spear rushing at the moment, so they're going to do this, get 2 TC, start that double villager production, get a big eco going, and we'll be straight into an age 2 game. This MAGMAM definitely working towards 300 stone there for a town center. He's going to have to stop and get the Temple of Ra, so he's going to need quite a bit of wood here. Ideally, he's going to want to get a wood storehouse rather than doing too much wood distance gathering here, like what qeast is doing here, and he's going to be able to catch up on the stone gathering. MAGMAM's going to need to stop now that he's at 300, so I hope he manages to do so, because that stone's not really going to be of any benefit to him in early age 2. He's going to want to start to get some army units, focus on either pressure or being able to be mobile with his defense if he can help doing so, rather than just sitting back and towering up. It's costed a lot of wood to actually tower up as well. Considering he is gathering so much early stone, I am anticipating MAGMAM being a bit more defensive here. So I don't think our players have had perfect villager production here. qeast marginally better, 16 vills to 15 for MAGMAM. Actually, that might have to do with the extra train time with the Egypt villager as well. But MAGMAM, he probably doesn't need this many houses, and he can really interrupt that stone gathering now. Maybe even gather a little bit of gold if he wants to get a lot of tech straight off the bat, as well as be able to afford, you know, if he wants to go barracks before the town center. Obviously he shouldn't, because he's got so much stone. He really should get the second town center age up ASAP. But no age up yet for MAGMAM. He's a little bit slow on the food here. Probably could have done with one more food gatherer. qeast age up, coming in very quickly. He's also gathered quite a fair bit of stone, so our players, I think, have really over-gathered a little bit here. qeast could actually train another villager. Come on, man. There we go. So he's going for that second TC. Really nice spot for it. MAGMAM aging up now. Got the resources he already needs for the town center. He should have enough wood here to actually get either a stables or a barracks as he goes for it as well. So that's always nice. Though in an ideal world, he probably wouldn't be over-gathering that much of it. So we need to make sure he's still got plenty of food income here. The priestess, you can actually rally the building while it's still building onto something else, so the priestess instantly starts actually doing something. Although obviously he's just going to use it to empower the second TC there. So Key's second TC finishing up. He's got a stop of vill production here because he hasn't gone for any houses. So MAGMAM, he's up 2 villages because he's also being Egyptian. He can produce them while he's getting his second age. But MAGMAM's second TC is going to be delayed here anyway. So I think things are going to even out a little bit. But MAGMAM, a little bit stronger on the economy for the time being. He needs to actually start spending on production though. But scouts over the other side of the map, I don't think he's really seen what qeast has got here. So qeast, stables, barracks and range. No stables just yet. Needs a bit more gold and he can start Toxotes production there. Probably needs to get another, maybe 2 villages on the gold. He can afford to do so. He's actually banking a bit of food here. He can probably even put 3 villages straight on the gold and just train future villagers for the food if he's going to get more like barracks or stables. So MAGMAM just towering up. This is really quite early for towers. He's floating a lot of wood now. No military for him at this stage. Second TC, there we go. Now he's starting second TC production. This is extremely defensive from MAGMAM. He's hoping to not be overwhelmed here. Although this is going to mean that qeast can actually punish him on the edges of his base too. He's not going to be able to sit on this forever. This is going to mean he can get to age 3 off these resources fairly easily, but in terms of being able to actually do anything, he's going to have to leave the confines of this. It does mean that qeast is going to have to get siege to eventually overrun him, which is something qeast admits to not really being all that confident with. qeast, meanwhile, impressive villager count lead of 4 here, as well as a little bit more of an army here. Not a lot, but at least he's actually got units in production. But now MAGMAM's just adding more towers. qeast could probably actually come from this side and pick off a villager or 2, or something like that. But MAGMAM, for the time being, is probably going to need to get age 3 and add stables, or sit in age 2 a little bit longer, add stables and barracks, try and defend a little bit. But this isn't a cheap investment. Like, these are nearly 250 resources each, so nearly 1,000 in total. He's quite defensive so far, protecting that hunt. Not a bad idea, but if he wants to start pushing, he's probably going to want to actually scout and then bring his whole army here. So I think he might have lost his scout at this stage. And he's just sending some units in to harass, but oh, he might get a catch here. This would be really nice. I was busy watching things at home for the moment. Adding his stables. Moving some units around. MAGMAM going to try and take the hunt over this far side. qeast doesn't realize he's actually interrupted anything here. I apologize if it's a bit laggy, guys. So qeast probably could have got a villager or 2 before MAGMAM could actually save the rest. Now he's trying to deny hunts, but MAGMAM's actually heading around the map here. 45 villages, 47, so qeast still leading slightly in that regard. And definitely got a much bigger army, but this many towers and the TCs stack that heavily. qeast is going to be a little bit restricted to trying to pick things off here. And right now he's got to take a bit of initiative, split some stuff up. Like, you can probably actually bring these guys forward and start raiding around here. Well, MAGMAM, well, he's going to want to actually transition into something here. He's got a lot in the bank. He can afford age 3 at this point. Maybe even gather a little bit more wood, a little bit more gold, get some production buildings and champion upgrades as soon as they finish. qeast isn't actually accomplishing anything with these armies, and he doesn't realize his opponent's sitting on these hunts uninterrupted at the moment. I mean, MAGMAM did have more villages. He wanted to go here, but he did manage to save all of them. So finally, a bit of reprieve for qeast. Oh no, he's not even going to see it. He's on the board and he's not actually picked off the market yet. So busy macroing back at home, adding an armory, which is good. But he doesn't realize he's actually really able to get something there. A lot in the bank for qeast here. He can go age 3 as well. MAGMAM adding stables and well, second stables. He's got a lot of houses down, but he needs to actually get that villager on it. Not really achieving much with this, so he probably needs to actually just send like just a hyper or a spear to every single one of these outer spawns of resources he thinks his opponent might be on, like every single one of the food, and then maybe 1 or 2 of the closer gold mines. And this way he can actually pick off anything that MAGMAM sends to the outskirts of the map. MAGMAM in the meanwhile going to add an armory and some stables, so really slow armor. Really slow unit acquisition here, but not a terrible time for the armory considering his units are going to be delayed. Camel's going to be useful at actually preventing much from happening here. But I think this is more for qeast to actually just scout out his opponent, figure out what to do here. He knows his opponent hasn't got a lot of army, knows he does have plenty of production, but if he can pick off some of these gatherers, it'll really hurt MAGMAM here. The camels, if they are fighting the whole army, they should go down pretty quickly considering there are toxotes in the mix, as well as spears. So MAGMAM, 59 villages to qeast 56. So qeast lacking in that regard. He did get housed for a little bit here. He needs to actually keep producing them, which he's doing so. He might not stop this armory in time. He's trying to focus down houses, but he really needs to have more melee. Like the toxotes are great at picking things off like villagers, but without front line of melee, he can't really take down the buildings with their armor. MAGMAM, a lot of idlers here, so that's unfortunate for him. He just needs to get them active on something, or even just have them garrison so they're not taking damage, or even have them participate in the fight if he thinks it'll help him overwhelm his opponent's army faster. So qeast actually picking off one of these outlying hunts. Really nice for him, and then expanding towards this one here in this mine means he'll be able to see if MAGMAM does continue to push over this way for more resources. But it looks like qeast has lost just about the bulk of that initial force. Though he does have quite a few units actually left. Still leading in terms of population over MAGMAM, who doesn't have a huge amount of army. But is still leading by 2 villages. Does have armory upgrades on the way. qeast has already actually got some too. Gone to age 3 in the meanwhile, so it's really nice for him. Struggling a little bit on the food eco, while MAGMAM, a lot of food and gold in the bank. So I don't think MAGMAM's really set on going to age 3, getting that Templar set. For the time being, he's just sitting back, defending and gathering. Yeah, there is a lot of undefended stuff here for MAGMAM. And there is for qeast as well, but I think so far he's established the map control. But he does still need to actually punish MAGMAM, or force him to tower up, have armies sitting on here, and then maybe hit somewhere else. Because MAGMAM's really just stacking up camels for the time being, healing everything up. And sure when he's going to go to age 3 here, but he should look at doing it soon. He's got plenty in the bank. He really doesn't need this much food yet. Or he needs to put it into a whole bunch of axemen, but he doesn't even have any barracks yet. Investing even more wood into farms, when really you probably should be saving that for production buildings, getting that age 3. So we're going to have a villager run in here. Well, this will be rough for qeast. He's going to lose a few bowmen pretty much for free there. But he does have a bigger army overall. So if he can bring everything together, he can hurt MAGMAM. MAGMAM only realizing he's been found out over here. He's going to have to shift back to the berries perhaps. He's not even going on the boar, but looks like qeast is going to try and force a fight here. And he's definitely up in terms of population. He's spending so much better than his opponent. MAGMAM with a huge resource bank, but he's really just massed camels. As long as qeast actually brings everything together, he could actually win this. Does need... well, does have plenty of spears. Probably needs a handful more. But he does actually have H3 armor. MAGMAM has all of his H2 upgrades though. He's getting H3 at the moment. So here we go, the first big engagement of the game, considering MAGMAM's been playing extremely defensively and greedy. qeast, the nice varied unit comp, but he's got perhaps a handful too many tocs. So if you had even more spears than this, you could just outright kill that army really quickly. But the problem is, I suppose, is that MAGMAM's probably going to transition into chariots as well. qeast needs to just do a bit of a better job of actually focusing down the villagers there, because it looks like MAGMAM will be able to get most of those out. So good reaction there from MAGMAM. qeast trying to go for a bit of a multi-pronged attack. Maybe delay one of these stables going up, or take down the armory or the stables. MAGMAM gonna have to try and deal with this smaller army first, but the main army of qeast gonna be able to take out some more houses here. MAGMAM 61 villagers to qeast 62, so he is slightly leading in that regard, and he has had that age 3 for longer. But chariot archer production starting here for MAGMAM. qeast making more saris, which would be handy against the chariots. But at the same time, does need to be able to thin out this camel count. qeast backing off. MAGMAM recovering really well. Does need to get a bunch of houses here and maybe get a storehouse here and here, just to make it easier for these villagers to drop off, get that faster gathering. This market back here already, so I can probably try and go for a TC somewhere about here, and then maybe get a fort as well, and just try and control these resources. But obviously he's fighting headlong into qeast's main force there. I'm going to try and do a bit of a hit and run over the back here and stop MAGMAM getting on that gold. So MAGMAM's going to actually be forced to move further up towards his opponent here. Going to run out of gold soon. qeast, I don't know what he's doing with the saris. Maybe he's going to check this out. Or maybe he's bringing them back with the main force. Just keeping an eye on things. MAGMAM just sitting back, massing everything up. Finally got the houses he needs for more population. Might lose a villager or two here, though. He's trying to force an engagement over here now, too. Now, these Saris can probably get picked off pretty quickly. The spears in high number, though. Their upgrades. They do need their age 3 damage upgrade. He's getting more spears and tox here. Aggressive healing here from the Egyptian army. He's having to back off. So MAGMAM chasing, he's got quadruple archer production. 62 villages to 64. So MAGMAM saved quite a number of them. If qeast can push him off this gold mine, might force him to have to get on the market. He's got a huge amount of food in the bank though, MAGMAM. So this greedy defensive play has really paid off here. Looks like qeast is going to be able to wear through his army, but MAGMAM will just be able to keep on training camels here, as long as he can maintain gold income. qeast finally breaking the front line there. MAGMAM having to retreat. qeast harassing a bunch of villagers in the meantime. So this could be good. He's even got a Sari in the mix here, so a couple of chariots shouldn't be able to deal too well with that. MAGMAM he's over rallied these chariots, so they are going to fall pretty much for free. Very expensive units, 160 resources each. Number of low villages here. Maybe qeast could fire over the wood line here. He's going to try and do so. MAGMAM getting priests set. They've got an incredible conversion range. Even though it doesn't give the unit to you, it means your opponent then has to fight against it. So that's Sari getting converted. And a hyper. A few more villages of MAGMAM's getting picked off. He's on this gold mine to the left here. So if qeast can punish that, he's already forced him off this right side. If he can get on this left one, MAGMAM, even though he's got a lot of other resources in the bank, he'd be running out of food, running out of gold. qeast in the meanwhile, struggling for food, so if MAGMAM goes to raid him, wants to try and hit somewhere where he's got farmers, or if he is on the hunt, or berries still anywhere. Looks like qeast has really transitioned to farms. Probably needs to get plough though. So eco-tech for our players, a little lacking. MAGMAM does seem to have all of his age 2 eco-techs, just hasn't started on any age 3 ones yet. But qeast doesn't have plough yet, and he's got 11 farms? No, like 17 farms. So he really could do with that tech, because it'd be like having another couple of food gatherers. He is getting it now. The Sari raiding might be of value, but he needs to be very careful, especially against those camels. MAGMAM on this gold mine over here. qeast actually taking a bit of an engagement here. 69 villages to 58, so qeast is up in that regard. MAGMAM just now getting his 3rd town centre, so he's been fighting at a bit of a population disadvantage. But he's been playing that cautiously. It's been hard for qeast to actually do much to him. qeast needs to try and bring his whole army together and maybe just send some units to check the gold mines. Because Egypt in particular, very hungry gold civ, but most civs at this stage of the game. Trade routes, a tribute penalty. I don't know why I need that. Price adjusting would be actually a useful upgrade. He hasn't got a teammate to send resources to, so trade routes will be of no benefit to MAGMAM. qeast. I think wheelbarrow now. He's actually got plough, but he doesn't have all of his techs yet. Hasn't been on berries terribly heavily, so he hasn't got picker's gloves. Maybe it saved him 75 wood. Maybe he probably should have gotten the berries instead of getting so many farms so quickly, because it is a big investment. He's getting more upgrades here, but Really needs to set up to either go age 4 and get age 4 composition, or even just add some rams now. Because right now MAGMAM's really caught up in terms of the army, and he's setting himself up to go towards age 4 here. Both our players need to get quite a bit of stone to go to age 4 and finish off their age 3 upgrades. So these are very important things. Like qeast really needs to get shield rim here. Like, he's up against this many towers. He's never going to be able to push without having all of his ranged armor upgrades. 71 villages to 60, so MAGMAM at a little bit of a disadvantage there, but he's been sitting back farming with age 3 farming upgrades. So he's really just rolling in the food here. Struggling a little bit for gold in comparison, but there is still some within reach here. qeast really doesn't want to take a fight here. Really needs to fight with everything, not have half his army engaged. Like, these guys running away really should be fighting with the rest of the army, or these guys should just be retreating. So it's a big blow to qeast's army here. MAGMAM taking a big population lead, and he's got more in the bank too, so this will be great for him. He'll be able to focus down all these Toxotes. There won't be much of a backline to wear down all his camels now. qeast with a lot of production though. Plenty of wood in the bank. He can really cut that wood gathering, put everyone on food and gold. Oh, and this is a nice surround here from qeast. I had no idea where these guys come from. So this will pick off a lot of these chariots for MAGMAM, so that'll be nice for qeast. They are fighting on top of qeast's production, so naturally this is a little bit advantageous to him. So these camels, you know, they're fighting directly on top of the production building for their counters. So MAGMAM now, population falling, running dry on the gold. qeast, plenty of food gatherers, even though he's starting to run out of that. Maybe even do with a couple more villages. 72 to 60. Maybe if you can get to about 75 to 80, you can maintain this sort of fight while still having plenty of income. It's MAGMAM struggling for gold now. Starting to get caravans. qeast is just going for it, but he probably needs to sit back and get the rest of his upgrades here. Maybe add some rams, or look at going to age 4. And man, gather some food. Stop gathering so much wood. Gather some stone too. Just start creeping forward with fortresses and towers if you can. MAGMAM be able to bounce back here. Doesn't have much gold, so no army production for the moment. But he is going to start trading, so 33 gold a trip there. MAGMAM, no fortresses yet. We're 27 minutes in, and we've got an Egyptian player who hasn't touched fortresses and elephants. MAGMAM very wary of these gold mines, the danger they possess if he doesn't get a fortress on top of them. He's going to go for one here to protect his production buildings and the side of his base. qeast definitely needs to improve his food and gold gathering here if he wants to get to age 4. Not worry about so much wood. MAGMAM in the meanwhile needs to get on gold somewhere. He started gathering a little bit of stone too, so he can start getting some fortresses, which is good for him. He can really help himself secure these gold mines, or take a better market line here, because I mean, this probably isn't the best. 33 a trip's pretty low. If you can go on this side, wall this in, you can probably be looking at 70 to 100, which is really, you know, where you want to be unless you can have it perfectly set up. You can go all the way up here then. Later on, that'd be more like maybe 120 to your starting TC. Yeah, probably about that. And that'd be really good. Qeast getting more armory upgrades. Really needs ranged upgrades. He hasn't gone for any of them. Meanwhile, MAGMAM, well, his age 2 upgrades, but he's forgotten all about his armory in age 3. More stone gathering here from MAGMAM, and funnily enough, he's not actually on this gold mine, which could really help him replenish his army. But he'd be able to get a fortress over here as well. Like I said, go for a good market line. The camels versus the spears might be a good fight for the spears here. The qeast isn't paying attention. He's trying to bring everything together now. MAGMAM will probably just look at retreating then. Hey, focus. Be good to see you play. So, qeast is pushing now. He's got quite a bit in the bank. Still only 10 gold gatherers though. So we can't afford to lose too much here. Starting to get some ranged upgrades as well, but no ranged damage yet. MAGMAM able to fight, survive here for the moment, but he is lower down on the army pop, and 66 villages to 76. A lot of low villages too. He's going to try and raid over here, but there's not much to go for other than these villages which are under the protection of that fortress. MAGMAM now getting on this gold mine over to the right side. Now starting elephant production. So qeast can switch to prodromos instead of the spearmen. He'll definitely be better off there. So neither player's really struggling for food, but MAGMAM in particular is struggling for gold a little bit, but qeast is also going to eventually need to get markets here. He has got one, but he's probably going to want to get more than that. Maybe set them up in a fashion that they'll get him a lot more gold, have him, you know, a couple of screens away from the actual market. Like this market position, really not that advantageous. If you had it right in the corner here, or if you got it over here, you could really start trading by now. Got some workshops, but no rams yet, so he might be just waiting for ballista. Getting some more barracks now as well. MAGMAM starting to get his age 3 upgrades. He's got his armor, he's getting his melee damage, getting a fuckload of chariots here to back up these elephants. So this combo will be really tough for a spear heavy army to deal with. qeast is probably best off trying to even delete the low health ones and replace them with prodromos. Or even hoplites, because I think they've got better pierce armor. Whereas these guys have got better cavalry armor. So qeast looking to take a fight here. MAGMAM's merely chasing, but eventually backing out. Oh, and there's a nice little raid here from qeast, interrupting the gold gathering from MAGMAM. He's age 4 kicking in, so don't know if he's actually got the stone for that town center yet. Just trying to harass his opponent a little. Get a couple of villages, 63 to 82 in favor of qeast for economy. He does have that age 4 as well. MAGMAM trying to push with his army now. Spear's going to be great against the camels. But the elephants and chariots will be very tough for the spear heavy army to deal with. qeast, oh, he is getting his age 4 armor here. A lot on the way in. He's starting to run low on gold though, but MAGMAM also has a little bit of gold in the bank. But his front line's really being thinned down now. This might be able to get a couple of peltas or saris in the mix just to deal with the chariots a bit quicker. Or MAGMAM needs something to deal with the spears. but also needs something to actually help front line against these, for his chariots against everything. Maybe even sprinkling in some MAGMAM just to help thin out the spears. Range damage going to finish up soon for him. So Keith's going to need to set up a market here at some point. He's got so much wood in the bank, but next to no gold. MAGMAM in the meanwhile. It's recovering now. Armor. Starting to add more. Starting to here. A few characters, not too many. Quite a way off. Well, not that far away. I suppose now that he's on the goal. So for TC here, just lacking a bit of for that. Stop gathering wood, man. You've had 36 wood gatherers for the past 15 minutes. On the gold now, though. That'll be good. He needs to get more. More. He's getting more stone, too. He's just bought some stone instead of actually gathering it with villagers. MAGMAM. Nicer resource distribution. Ultimately less in the bank, though. But his composition's getting very scary here. Even though he is just sitting in age 3. So no Temple of Tar on the way just yet, I don't believe. He's going to start getting a workshop though. Okay, sending in the Plintonon with the rest of the army is not a great idea. Ideally he wants to park it up here and just take out these buildings. Or have it support against the range cluster. That'd actually be quite handy for him, I think. Although he is sniping some houses here, so this will make it harder for MAGMAM to actually replace buildings. Oh, that's a nice shot. Taking out both a house and a tower there. But MAGMAM, it's a really tough backline for qeast to fight into with spears. So these guys just have wonderful damage. Priestess is topping up those war elephants. One does go down and another one's not far off. Well, that Plintonon's going to go down. He's going to deal a bit of damage to one of the chariots. MAGMAM, a lot of resources in the bank. Needs to replace some houses. He's probably cancel these and just sell a fuckload of wood, or just start on his market line now. He's really struggling for gold, even though he's had map control for quite some time. MAGMAM hasn't been able to get on this gold mine. There's a huge amount of idlers and does have a smaller economy here. So MAGMAM trying to go for the stone over here. Maybe just to replace buildings as the game goes on, because he's already got 1500 stone already. He needs more wood, if anything. So Chariot's going to dart across the map here. Speed limited by the fact there's a priestess there. These guys will be handy against the spears. This is not great for qeast. He's going to want to have something to deal with them. A mix of Prodromos and Saris, or have a bunch of Peltas or something, because spears just aren't the answer to chariots. He's getting Shield Trust, but really that's the upgrade he probably should have gotten first out of the age 3 upgrades that he started to get, because by then MAGMAM already really started investing in these camels. So it's been a nice push here for MAGMAM. He's going to get a lot of spears for this. He's going for that age 4 town center, but I don't know if it's actually going to finish in time here. Because qeast is going to have to invest a lot into spears if that's what he's going to stick with here. He really needs to get Saris or Peltas just to deal with these chariots. Qeast adding more barracks. instead of ranges and stables. Because if he can get, even if he just gets Gastras at this point, he's age 4. If he can field like 50 Gastras, even if he can't push all the way into Magmam's base, Magmam can't really fight him without getting catapults. Because it's just mass Chariot Archer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Chariot Archers in production there. Very expensive army. But qeast, does he have an answer for it? He's on 84 villages, training more. MAGMAM only on 66, so he's actually going to start having a bigger army than his opponent, even though he's down in age at the moment. He's doing a bit of distance gathering there. He wants to fix that up. He wants to fix up the distance gathering over here. MAGMAM, not so bad distance gathering. He's just freshly moved over there. But he would have been doing a bit here. And he's doing a little bit over here. Just get another storehouse, bro. He's with these unstarted barracks, let alone finished. So MAGMAM now has all his age 3 upgrades and is able to pick off small numbers of spears like this extremely easily. Quite mobile too. Ellie's going to be able to take out the houses pretty quick, but qeast, replacing houses is not going to be a problem for him. He has so much wood in the bank. MAGMAM, because he's been playing mass chariots, has actually not got a huge amount of wood. So MAGMAM just about able to kite qeast to death here. Who really just needs to get Gastras. No idea why he's just got Spearmen. What possesses someone to play like this? Running low on gold though, he really needs to get caravans somewhere. He's adding more barracks. What are you doing? MAGMAM actually not struggling for gold, but now he's struggling for wood. Gonna lose a lot of villages, get a lot taken pretty low there. 61 to 88 is the vill count now. Still one of the spears actually he's chasing. Don't think he's going to get any more value though. So it's basically chariot versus spearman. I have no idea what's going on now. But qeast is running out of gold. Gonna have to add a market here. Maybe I'm getting price adjusting so we can trade resources, buy some wood by the looks of it, sell some food, buy some wood, I think is what he's aiming to do. The qeast gonna add more palins, gonna try and get some siege in the mix here. MAGMAM going Temple of Tar, so he's finally gonna be able to get age 3 here. I don't know if this market line's actually any better than the one over here. It's pretty much the same value. He's sending a small number of spears just to check things out. There's nothing actually there other than the gold mine. We're 40 minutes in, one player still isn't age 4 and is actually, I would say, compositionally leading the game. Because qeast, he needs to set up caravan eco badly now. He's run out of gold. Needs to be willing to sell wood or delete villages for caravans. MAGMAM gold age incoming. Losing some production buildings here to this Palin though. So a couple of stables falling. Bit of a nothing kill that storehouse. But this armory, this could impact MAGMAM's upgrades. I don't think he got more than one, so he's going to have to replace that. qeast needs to delete something, or even just have these villagers come up and gather from here. Gonna start taking out more structures with this Palin, so a few more stables are going to fall. MAGMAM trying to get some upgrades here. Ellie Archer champion. To get Ptolemy's might, so training time increase. Getting a catapult or two. Getting the universal desert conditioning for all of his chariots and camels. But he could probably do with Chariot Archer champ too, because that'll be exceptional against the spears. Extra health and extra spear, well, damage to infantry. qeast does have one of his age 4 upgrades, but it's not actually the ranged upgrade, it's the melee armor. Still doing a bit of distance gathering here. So qeast up against an age 4 opponent now, but MAGMAM's starting to lose more and more structures. He's lost that fortress. qeast just eager to protect his Palantonons. He's on the gold mine. He needs to get some stone as well if he wants to actually get fortresses or towers. Boost his defensive capabilities. Otherwise, it's really all going to come down to this next fight. The Chariot's going to be able to do well against the spears here. qeast, no gold in the bank. The Palins are actually focusing down buildings, not the Chariots. When they're all massed up like this, it could be very beneficial for him to actually pick them off rather than the buildings, because right now he's left without an army, and it looks like MAGMAM's going to turn this around. So MAGMAM outlasting qeast with the army here. Don't know what qeast is going to be able to do in response. He's got a bit of gold now, but he's just pumping out spearmen. Get Gastras and get Hippicons. Like, what are you doing? Please, my boy. MAGMAM in the meanwhile, he got upgrades for his Ellie Archers, hasn't really transitioned to them, still hasn't actually got his Chariot Archer champions, which would be a big benefit because he's actually got 30 Chariot Archers. Starting to get some upgrades here. Don't know why he's getting shipping lanes. 61 villages to 81. So qeast in the lead there. So this is nice for qeast. He's actually thinning out some of the chariots. Maybe I'm actually backing off there. I've got to tell him, man, like, you can't just make a million spearmen this late on in the game. MAGMAM down on score, but his composition is just so much nicer overall. Like, the spears, somehow he might actually win this, because I think MAGMAM's just run out of gold. But the spears really, qeast could have won this 10 minutes ago if he just had Gastra Hippicon. And it looks like MAGMAM's going to thin everything out. Doesn't even need a front line. Hashtag YOLO. Ellie Archer champion, and Chariot Archers without their champion upgrade gonna be able to do it here. qeast running now out of food. MAGMAM's just let his opponent attack into him all game. And it looks like it's eventually paid off here, 47 minutes in. qeast getting some more caravans now. MAGMAM continuing to get upgrades. He's actually getting melee damage before range damage And right now he has no melee units. He's got range units and siege units. So he really could literally just cancel this upgrade, even though it's this far in, and train this one instead. And it would still be a much bigger benefit to him with what he's actually got right now. qeast, on the other hand, is surviving. Still just only making spearmen. MAGMAM allergic to actually pushing. qeast allergic to making anything other than spearmen. And boy, it's been a hell of a ride deciding who's actually ahead here. So qeast has that eco advantage, but every time he pushes, this inferior composition is just getting absolutely hosed. He has 16 barracks, hasn't got close combat expertise too, which could be really handy here. Those stats really help him fight into this army, but he needs hippocons or gastras or prodromos or something here, because you can't just sit on mass spears. So MAGMAM making it work. He's actually way down in score, but I think that's not very telling with how the game actually is here, because these spears are just a junk unit compared to the chariot, Ellie Archer, catapult composition. Like this shouldn't actually work without a front line, but it just does because spears are, you know, they're an age 1 unit with the age 2 champion upgrade, fighting against like ranged units, one of which actually does have infantry bonus at the moment, and an AoE siege unit. So these tiny guys, when you could have hippocons, you could have prodromos, even hoplites would be marginally better because they've got better pierce armor. So MAGMAM, I think, is aware he can actually start to push here. His age 4 ranged upgrade going to kick in, and GG. He's tapping out 49.57 in. So a real back and forth, but I think qeast just not wanting to move off mass spear is what did him in there. I don't mean to hose him too badly about this, but like, yeah, they got painful to sit through, unfortunately. He put up a great fight, and I think at some stages... Alright, get an intermission here. So MAGMAM taking the game. I'm going to take a bit of a break because my voice is a bit sore. My throat, sorry. After nearly an hour of that.